Zavrite dvere, poprosím.
Hello guys.
Ďakujem vám, vítam vás na besede s našim ceným hosťom, pánom hercom strieborného plátna, pánom Julianom GLOVERom. I welcome you at our Q&A section with our really beloved guest, Mr. Julian GLOVER. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you. I must say, to start off with, that I'm deaf. So if I miss anything, if perhaps you ask a question and I don't hear it properly, I shall ask Robert to translate it for me, if that's okay. And I'm afraid I don't speak any Czech or any German or any Bratislavian. So you're going to have to make do with English. That's all I have. But I'll try to speak clearly. That's an actor's job.
Na začiatok potrebujem vám povedať jednu veľmi dôležitú informáciu, že ťažko počuje. To znamená, že ak sa stane, že niečo sa spýtate cez mikrofón a nebude rozumieť, tak vám povie, že prosím, že čo to bolo, alebo teda zopakujte otázku. A ja teda vám to preložím. A ešte takisto, bohužiaľ, nerozpráva inou rečou ako angličtinou, teda nehovorí po nemecky, po česky, bratislavsky a tak ďalej. Ale zase je za to jeho job, tak si myslím. A na začiatku si dáme, pozme na pódium 501. legiu Darth Vadera, ktorá by rada privítala pána GLOVERa u nás, keďže hral generála v Star Wars filmoch, takže oni si ho veľmi vážia a radi by takto poďakovali. First we will call the 501st Legion of Darth Vader because they love you for your role in Star Wars and they would like to thank you with this. Môžete ísť.
Welcome, good workers. I very much admire your work outside your costumes, the charity work you do. It's really remarkable with the way you give your time and your energies for the sake of other people. And I think that deserves a very big round of applause from the audience.
Ďakujem vám veľmi pekne za tú prácu, ktorú robíte, nielen ten nosenie kostýmov, ale tú charitatívnu činnosť, ktorú 501. legia vykonáva v nemocniciach, u ťažkochorých a robí radosť vo svete a to si ho strašne váži a ďakujem vám. Takže na začiatok budeme mať pár otázok a potom sa budete pýtať vy. So for the beginning, I would like to thank you very much for coming to Slovakia and I would like to ask you if you have any connection with Czechoslovakia, Slovakia.
Yes, I have a very strong connection with your country, particularly with Bratislava. Some of you will remember your great leader, Alexander Dubček? I hope you do, because if you don't remember him, first of all, you should be ashamed of yourselves, and secondly, there's no point in my telling this story.
Takže je pravda, že má silné puto zo Slovensku a špeciálne s Bratislavou, pretože jeho spojenie s jedným z našich veľkých teda politických lídrov Alexandrom Dubčekom, spojených práve s Pražským jarom 1968, keď nás obsadili ruské vojska. A pokiaľ ho nepoznáte, tak by ste sa mali hanbiť, takže dúfam, že poznáte Alexandra Dubčeka, alebo si o ňom čítali.
The elder ones in front now will remember that Russia invaded Czechoslovakia and took over the government of Czechoslovakia. They have a habit of doing that, don't they? Look what's going on now. 10 years after they came, the British television produced a program which we call a drama documentary, which was about the invasion of Czechoslovakia. And I played the role of Alexander Dubček.
Ako som spomínal, Rusi nás obsadili v 68. a teda uniesli našu vládu, pretože schylovalo práve k tomu, že sa chceli uvoľniť dané pomery v režime, kedy chceli zaviesť tzv. Socializmus s ľudskou tvárou a to sa Rusom nepáčilo, a keďže oni radi napadajú rôzne krajiny okolo a nezmenilo sa to, myslím, dodnes, tak to sa stalo a práve v Británii oni mávali v minulosti takú reláciu, kde dramatizovali nejaké tieto historické časti, alebo teda časti histórie a práve aby ukázali, že nezabudli na to, čo sa stalo vôbec u nás, tak práve mali film, v ktorom hral pán GLOVER Alexandra Dubčeka a práve tieto udalosti, ktoré tam odohrával v filme, v ktorom hral.
I had to have a nose. If you remember his appearance, he had a very big nose, hardly any hair, perfect for me.
Že Alexander Dubček mal taký zvláštny podlovastý nos a žiadne vlasy, takže povedal, že je to pre neho práve ideálna rola, keďže...
Anyway, after we made this program, which we were very proud of, came the Velvet Revolution, which was a matter for much rejoicing outside this country as well as within it. And my wife said to me, "Well, Julian, now you could meet him."
A o niekoľko rokov neskôr, v 90. rokoch, došla zamatová revolúcia, kedy teda štenkali naši rodičia a s rodičmi na námestiach a Rusi odišli od nás. Všetci sme boli happy, teda, že sa otvárajú nové obzory a aj zvyšok sveta, teda západného, civilizovaného a práve manželka pána GLOVERa mu vtedy pripomenula, že Julian, teraz je práve ten čas, kedy ho konečne môžeš aj stretnúť osobne.
So I called the Czech embassy in London, where everyone, of course, was running about like chickens with no legs. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to put themselves.
Zavolal práve na českú ambasádu, alebo teda československú ambasádu v Británii, kde všetci teda behali bezradne a nevedeli, čo majú robiť, lebo to bola fakt mimoriadna situácia, že on sa chce stretnúť u nás s politikom tesne pod revolúcií.
However, I won't tell you how, but I managed to get to Czechoslovakia 2 days later. This was 4 days after the Velvet Revolution. An arrangement had been made for me and my wife and the people who had made the broadcast Invasion to meet Alexander Dubček on the steps of the government building at 8 o'clock in the morning for 15 minutes.
No a aby ste tomu neverili, skutočnosť bola tá, že o 2 dní na to, ako zavolal, tak sa skutočne do Československa dostal. Nepoviem vám, ako sa to podarilo, ale bolo to 4 dní v podstate po tej revolúcii, čo veľká vec v tom stave proste bezvládia a všetkého. A robili tzv. Vysielanie, volali to, že Invasion, a ten štáb vlastne dohodol to, že sa mali stretnúť na 15 minút na schodoch vládnej budovy v Prahe.
And we had an interpreter, of course.
A mali aj prekladateľa.
We met indeed at 8 o'clock that morning, 5 days after the Velvet Revolution, and Mr. Dubček drove up in his little car, don't know what it was, a DAF or something, little car, and he got out and we shook hands outside the building. I was like this. And we told him we only had a quarter of an hour, and he said, oh, rubbish. We'll go into my office now. And you know, he then lived in Bratislava. But we went into Prague. Come into my office and we'll have a proper talk. We were there for 4 hours. 4 hours.
No. A teda skutočne sa 5 dní po tej revolúcii mali dohodu teda stretli na 15 minút. Stretli sa 5 dní po revolúcii na tých schodoch. Pánu Gloverovi sa triasli ruky a pán Dubček si ešte spomína, že pán Dubček šiel v maličkom svojom autičku. Nepamätáte si, aká to bola značka. A ak si povedal ruky, hovoríš, no, že dali nám iba 15 minút na to, pán Dubček nech sa o to nestará, že nech dojde do jeho ofisu a boli tam potom spolu 4 hodiny.
Okay, in his office we talked a lot. An interview was recorded with him for British television, the first time ever this had happened, ever, and he gave them a lot of time, and also they showed our film again in his office. Come on.
Thank you.
Difficult for him, there's so much.
Takže potom boli v tej kancelárii, kde ich teda prvýkrát natáčala britská televízia, od prekačov už niečo takéto robili a potom samozrejme ukazovali mu aj ten pôvodný dokument, kde pán Glover hral, aby to videl a bola to nezabudnutelná teda situácia.
We sat in his office, I held his hand, he held my hand for the whole program. And he told us that it was always played in the cellars and the underground rooms while the Russians were there, every New Year's Eve, to prove that the West knew what was happening here.
No a počas toho pozerania sa držali za ruky, tak ako teda chytil teda mňa, boli blízko pri sebe a pozerali teda celý ten film. A potom, čo si to pozrel, povedal pán Dubček to, že pravidelne na Nový rok túto reláciu, tento film pozerali v pivniciach a v podzemí, na tajňaše samozrejme za toho bývalého režimu. A pripomínali si, že je to dôkaz toho, že Západ nezabudol na to, čo sa stalo v Československu.
I sat mostly with tears pouring down my face. At one point, when there was a scene in Moscow, when the Presidium of Czechoslovakia went to Moscow, long table, all the politicians there, our politicians, your politicians, and the Russians. In comes Brezhnev, with a lot of people behind him, march, march, march. And Dubček said to me, demagogue, which was a very, very fine moment.
A práve po tomto, po tých slovách Dubčeka, že si to teda pozerali na Čech, no a že pamätali na to, tak pána Gloverovi tiekli slzy na licách a bol veľmi dojatý. A spomína si jednu z takých tých scén, ktorá tam bola, keď v tom filme bola scéna z Moskvy, bol tam dlhý stôl a sedel za ním Brežnev a okolo mašírovali proste tí rôzni jeho stúpenci, tak drgol pán Glover a povedal demagog.
I won't say any more about all that. It was a fantastic meeting, as you can imagine, between an actor, a mere actor, and this giant figure in your politics, in world politics. Anyway, he died. Well, he was killed in a car smash. I don't know whether he died or whether he was killed in a car smash.
No, pre pána Glovera to bolo niečo veľké, že on ako obyčajný herec sa mohol stretnúť s takouto obrovskou osobnosťou nielen slovenskej, ale teda svetovej politiky. Ale bohužiaľ to bolo ich osobné posledné stretnutie zažíval, pretože Alexander Dubček umrel v podstate tesne pred voľbami, bola autonehoda a dodnes sa teda nevie, že veľa ľudí si myslí, že ho zabili, niektorí si myslí, že to bola nehoda, a teda nebudeme o tomto fabulovať teda, ale bohužiaľ aj preto teda tie slzy. Bolo to také veľmi smutné a osobné.
I immediately rang the embassy in London and said I must be at his funeral. Oh. But it was arranged with our Foreign Office that I should come to see his funeral. His funeral, of course, was in the National Theatre here in Bratislava, because he had been banished to Bratislava when he was removed from office by the Russians. He worked for the Forestry Commission, and when he died he was honoured in your National Theatre. I'm sure a building you all know.
No a hneď jak umrel, tak pán Glover povedal, že musím ísť na jeho pohreb. Takže opäť zavolal na ambasádu a ich ministerstvo zahraničných vecí zariadilo to, že dostal sa skutočne na ten pohreb, ktorý sa práve odohrával v našom Slovenskom národnom divadle v Bratislave Pavla Orsaga, Slovenskom národnom divadle. A jednoducho, prečo Bratislava, si povedzme? No on povede teda ako predseda tej vlády, on bol removed, práve z tej Prahy, kde pôsobil, ho poslali na Slovensko do Bratislavy a on tu pracoval tzv. Lesnícku spoločnosť alebo lesného hospodárstva, takže spravili z neho v podstate človeka niekde hore, úplne posledného. Takže pretože Bratislava v podstate potom zvyšok toho života v tom exíle pôsobil, tak preto mu spravil tú časť, že Bratislava mal ten pohreb v tom Slovenskom národnom divadle.
It was a wonderful funeral. The theatre was full of the most high-ranking people in Czechoslovakia and in Europe. And I went over, I was the only English person, and I went over with a very senior English politician. And do that.
A práve to divadlo bolo plné práve tými špičkami československej politiky a osobnostiami z okolia, ale pán Glover bol jediný britský v podstate občan plus, ktorého doprevádzal ich nejaký vysoký politický podpredstaviteľ.
I still have his photograph in my study, which I look at every day and say good morning to him. It was very sweet because the photograph had been touched to give him more hair at the front, which was very charming.
A dodnes ho stretáva každý deň, pretože jeho obraz, alebo teda fotku, má vo svojej študovni a tak každý deň teda ho stretáva a na tom obraze je zaujímavé to, že bola tak v podstate retušovaná, lebo mal tam dorobené nejaké vlasy, ktorých teraz skutočne nemal veľa.
And now to finish. When I was in the theatre looking at his coffin, soldiers lined up here, completely full theatre, no women. Interesting that. I was, as it were, there, and I looked down to the stalls where I knew, because of my program, and this was in the program, that when Alexander Dubček had been banished, I'm going to tell all this story so you can tell you, I told you last night, hang on.
Thank you very much.
He was banished to Bratislava, and he decided to go with his wife to see a play at the National Theatre, right there. I looked down and I thought about this scene. When he sat down with his wife, one person recognized him. and they stood up and started to sing the national anthem of Czechoslovakia. Forbidden, verboten, never. Another person did the same. Another person did the same. Another person did the same. Another person did it, until the whole theatre rose to its feet and sang the whole of the national anthem to Alexander Dubček, who is one of the great heroes of your country. And that's the end of my story.
No a potom, jak proste bol na tom pohrebe a videl tam tých vojakov a to hľadisko, tak si spomenul na jednu príhodu, ktorú mu rozprával, ktorá sa stala, keď bol v podstate vykázaný do Bratislavy. Raz Dubčekovci došli na nejaké predstavenie do divadla a niekto ho práve z tom hľadisku spoznal a postavil sa, začal spievať Československú národnú hymnu. A potom sa postavil ďalší človek, až celé teda divadlo spievalo hymnu, čo bol teda za toho režimu zakázané. A to bola úžasná v podstate scéna, ktorú si ho predstavil, o ktorej teda počul. Takže to je koniec jeho príbehu a jeho spojenia s Alexandrom Dubčekom.
Now we can start talking about me.
A teraz je čas, aby začal hovoriť o sebe, alebo teda začali sa rozprávať o ňom. So, there's a really touching story, which I must say I didn't have chance to read anywhere before if you didn't tell me. Really, I was looking through Wikipedia and your CV and amazing career, and most of the things they tell about that you are really well-known classical actor, and you are good on portraying villains in the blockbuster movies. But this touching story, because Dubček wasn't a villain, maybe didn't fit the information.
Well, yes, okay. Can't say anything more to that.
Že len som povedal to, že skutočne tento príbeh som počul včera prvýkrát od neho a je to zvláštne, že keď sme si robili research, že čo sa vôbec pýtať alebo tak, keďže hrá v fantastickom množstve filmov, tak toto tam nikdy nebolo, lebo vždy písali o ňom, že proste je výborný na to, že hrá tých najväčších záporákov rôznych v tých známych filmoch, ale toto, keďže Dubček nebol zlý človek, tak teda asi sa nehodilo medzi informácie na Wikipédii, takže máte exkluzívne informáciu, ktorú som asi za nohy netušili. Would you like to let people ask the questions now?
Would you like to ask me any questions? I have lots of answers.
Že ak sa niekto chcel opýtať nejakú otázku, tak ľudia len zdvihnite ruku, my vám donesieme mikrofón.
Keby sa chceli spýtať otázku, tak má kopec odpovedí.
Oh, okay. So, simple question. Do you really like to play the villain characters in movies? It's not easy.
Len to po slovensky, že či skutočne miluje hranie práve tých záporákov v tých filmoch?
Yes, particularly when they're well paid. I started my career, I'm essentially a theatre actor. That is why I'm an actor. To have you there and to talk with you and to communicate ideas. When I started out, I was with the Royal Shakespeare Company, playing very small parts. And I realised then that this was the thing that I really had to do. And I played nice people, like fishermen, and nice lords and political people who were very nice. But suddenly I was cast in a film called Tom Jones, which is a very famous film in England. If you haven't seen it, it's such a funny film. You should see it. Tom Jones, starring Albert Finney, in which I played a really horrible soldier.
Skutočne aj rád hraných hercov, ale on v skutočnosti teda, keď hraje tých záporákov, on je v skutočnosti teda, alebo pôvodne, je divadelný herec. On hrá klasické divadlo a bol vlastne, keď začal vôbec so svojou kariérou ako herec, tak bol členom práve tej Shakespeareovskej spoločnosti, alebo tej kráľovskej Shakespeareovskej spoločnosti Royal Shakespeare Company. Neviem, či na to presne nejaký preklad u nás. A kde hral rôzne malé role a hral veľa milých ľudí, proste rybárov, politikov, lordov. A potom mu zase zavolali, že poď hrať do filmu. A hral vo filme Tom Jones, kde hral, čo je u nich veľmi populárny a známy film, a kde hral takého úplne nechutného, hnusného, nepríjemného vojaka.
Isn't he doing well? Yes. Really good. Not easy because I talk so much. That was the beginning of me playing nasty people. I think I was probably quite good. So that was the beginning of it. And most of my career has been based, particularly in films, on playing the bad boy. Whatever sort of bad boy, it depends on the film. But you will have noticed that because of the question, that I have played bad boys for a large part of my career, but not all of it.
No a tak vlastne začal teda hrať tých záporákov a väčšinu teda jeho kariéry hral vo filmoch, kde hral záporákov, čo ste si teda určite všimli na základe vašej otázky, že ich hral, ale nie všetky roli boli záporáci.
Of course, my main object in being an actor is theatre, so I've done a great deal of theatre in my career. With the National Theatre, with the Royal Shakespeare Theatre, touring, a lot of Shakespeare, a great deal of Shakespeare, and as I got older, the leading parts, and so Shakespeare became my life. And I played a lot of quite nice people in the theatre. So that has been my other theatre life. Now I'm old, I'm only asked to play nice people. Isn't that good?
No a keďže v tom divadle bol na veľa turné práve s tou Shakespeareovskou spoločnosťou, hral veľa Shakespearea, potom neskôr hral rôzne už tie hlavné role a hral veľa tých milých ľudí, tak potom došlo k tej zmene, že vo filmu bola to zmena a teraz, keďže je starý, tak práve ho žiadajú od neho, aby hral milých ľudí.
But playing villains isn't just playing someone, they're all different, the villains. Well, all villains are different. But they don't think they're villains. That's the main point about it. So the actor has to find a raison d'etre for each one. In Indiana Jones, it was because he wanted to seek the secret of eternal life. In For Your Eyes Only, he was promoting this young skating star for the Olympics. In Game of Thrones, he was a wily old bugger who always knew which side to back, and that's why he lived to such an old age, etc.
No a samozrejme hrať záporáka neznamená, že hrať v podstate tú istú rolu, alebo tí záporáci mnohokrát sú proste iní, každý má inú motiváciu a iný vôbec dôvod, prečo sa chová ako chová. V Indiana Jonesovi, ak si pamätáte, práve Donovan, ktorý drukoval a spolupracoval s nacistami, jeho zmysel, teda vôbec jeho motivácia bolo nájsť práve ten večný život. Naopak v Jamesovi Bonde For Your Eyes Only on sa snažil práve promovať a dostať na olympiádu rasokočuliarku. A v Game of Thrones zase ten majster bol ako taký had, ktorý sa snažil strategickými ťahmi preplávať práve všetkými tými intrigami a prežiť a aj udržať to kráľovstvo.
You see, even Hitler didn't think he was a villain. All these things were happening. You know, he never once visited a concentration camp, Hitler, and he thought he was doing well. Putin thinks he is a saint, not a villain. But he really does think that. Therefore, he behaving in the way he's behaving. People with big, extraordinary ambitions and big heads and unsatisfactory appreciation of their own abilities and intentions.
No a samozrejme tí záporáci majú tieto motivácie, ale nemyslia v podstate v tom základe o sebe, že sú zlí. Im vôbec nenapadne, alebo nepatrí to vôbec do ich mindsetu o tom, že sú zlí. A podobne práve robil aj prirovnanie, že aj Hitler si nemyslel o sebe, že je zlý človek. Nikdy nebol nenavštívil koncentračný tábor a podobne aj Putin si myslí, že je svätý a že robí všetko pre dobro sveta, pretože tí ľudia majú ten svoj zrak a vôbec tú realitu zakrytú práve svojimi ambíciami a činmi a myslia si, že sú úžasní, takže oni sa nevnímajú, že a ja som ten zápojek a robím to na stôl.
I hope that you will never recognize that my part in Indiana Jones was very charming, very nice man, until we discover what he is, what he's really doing. And the same in For Your Eyes Only. He was someone who was helping someone to win the Olympics. Very nice, until you discover. So, to discover what he really is. So that I think is the basic rule about playing villains, is to find the reason, not to excuse them, not to say, oh, it's all right, not that, but to find the reason that they are villains. I've talked enough about villains now, let's talk about something else. Will you finish that?
No, a keď sme sa bavili o tom, že ako sa vnímajú tí oni záporáci, tak práve, čo je tam dôležité presne, keď už to hraje a hraje tú rolu, je hľadať ten dôvod, prečo sa tak správajú. Takisto keď si pozrieme na tú rolu toho Donovana, tak on z začiatku bol gentleman, veľmi taký slušný, milý človek z vysokej triedy, až kým zistili, čo je zač. A podobne, a takisto For Your Eyes Only, takisto v podstate bol to človek, čo pomáhal športovcovi, nebol nejakým spôsobom zlý, až kým zistili, že no, mal tam nejaké ďalšie plány. A to znamená, že keď sa pripravujú na tú rolu, tak je dôležité vedieť, že čo ich motivuje, ale neznamená to, že to ospravedlňuje ich tie zlé činy. To vôbec nechce tým vôbec povedať. Takže toľko vlastne k tým zlosinom a že mohli by sa posunúť k inej téme a nerozprávať sa už len o zlosinoch.
Okay, no. Pardon me, I'm a little nervous. So, my question is simple. You mentioned that you were in Star Wars, Indiana Jones. You probably have a lot of experience with George Lucas. Simple question, how is he? Is he like the media, like impersonate him, like he's like very rough, very strict, or he's different?
Keďže ste hrali v Indiana Jonesovi Star Wars a mali ste možnosť spolupracovať s Stevenom Spielbergom, tak jeho by zaujímal teda nášho diváka, či je to také, ako hovoria médiá, že teda veľmi striktný, drsný, náročný, alebo je úplne iný v skutočnosti.
I've only met him once in the 2 films I've done for him. Only met him once, and he was very nice, like Steven Spielberg. But I learned about Steven Spielberg over a long period of time, and it was a very, very good relationship. George Lucas was very nice to me, and I should think so too, because I'm very nice. I didn't tell you that at the beginning, did I? That I'm terribly nice. I'm not a villain. Oh, maybe I am. Because you don't know if you are. So my experience of George Lucas is very small, except he's always been like, that one occasion, he didn't even come to the premiere in London of either film, and so I didn't meet him then. So that's the short answer to your question.
No, odpoveď je taká, že počas tých 2 filmov, ktoré pre neho alebo s ním robil, ho stretol raz. A bol to veľmi milý človek. Skutočne veľmi milý človek. A mimochodom, on si myslí teda, že milý bol aj preto, lebo pán Glover je veľmi milý človek, čo teda zabudol na čo povedať, že je milý človek a že nie je teda záporák, aby ste si nemysleli teda, vidíme, že aká je tá pravda, ale v každom prípade odpoveď je tá, že stretol ho raz, bol k nemu veľmi milý a potom vlastne samotný teda Spielberg neprišiel do Londýna ani na jednu z tých premiér filmov tam, takže nemal tú možnosť ho stretnúť znovu a rozšíriť si svoje teda názory na to, či je nejaký iný, takže je to limitované na to jedno stretnutie.
I want to ask if you go to conventions like this, not like to different countries and stuff.
Yes, I do. And the older I get, when I have more time off acting, because you get old, the parts run out, I do more. I'm in Cologne next weekend, for instance, and I'm doing 4, I think, in England, 1 in Brussels, and I go to America quite often. Not so often now, they're beginning to be bored with me in America. I'm not surprised because I'm so expensive.
Áno, otázka bola, že či cestuje po festivaloch, alebo teda konoch, ako je tento. A odpoveď bola teda, že áno, cestuje. Čím je starší, tak jeho roli, lebo ktoré tu mali vlastne v jeho kariére vždy nejaké tie roli, tak tých začína byť menej a menej, takže má viac času na cestovanie. Napríklad o týždeň je v Kolíne v Nemecku, potom má nejaké 4 koni v Anglicku, niečo v Bruseli a ešte chodí do Ameriky, ale tam už nie tak často, pretože má pocit, že už sú teda z neho nejakým spôsobom unavení. Ale no, testuje dosť.
I did one in Prague last year. Somebody, maybe you were at, maybe you weren't, but I did one in Prague, which was very good, very good. Not as nice as this, though. This is a very friendly atmosphere here, very friendly.
No a mimochodom, minulý rok bol v Prahe na Comic-Cone Prague, čo sú teda naši kamaráti, a teda, ale že tu tak je asi milšie publikum a že sú veľmi milí ľudia a je to dobrá atmosféra. A ešte sa spýtal, či niekto z vás v tej Prahe na ňoho bol náhodou, ruky hore. Those people were in Prague. Those people.
Prague.
They were in Prague while you were there.
Good, good. Did you come to my talking? If you did, then you've heard all this before.
No a že ak ste teda boli, takže či ste prišli na jeho show, pretože tieto veci ste počuli už aj tam.
Dobrý deň, ja sa ospravedlňujem, že budem hovoriť po slovensku, lebo ja keď som nervózna, moja angličtina vypne. Ale ja by som sa strašne chcela spýtať, že aké to bolo pre neho vlastne voice aktorovať Aragoga z Harryho Pottera, keďže není to ako nejaký ľudský charakter, ktorý sa dá ľahko dočítať, ale je to proste mytické stvorenie, vytvorené od vlastne protagonistky, a teda protagonistky, myslím, spisovateľky Harryho Pottera, že to bolo veľmi ťažké sa naučiť vžiť sa do role toho Aragorga.
This lovely lady apologizes that she doesn't speak English now because when she gets nervous, her English shuts down. But
Mine too sometimes.
že netreba byť, ona je sa hanbiť za to, lebo v podstate aj on, keď je nervózny, tak jeho angličtina sa vypne. Ale teda, and her question was about Aragog. She was asking, because it's a different kind of role, because it's not a living character, or not a human character. How was it to get into the character of a spider that's, unreal, written by author.
I understand the question. It's tricky. What happened? I'm terrified of spiders, by the way. Absolutely terrified. What they did, they didn't know what a spider sounded like. Funny that. So they auditioned a lot of us maybe 10 of us. Some actors much more famous than I am. They auditioned, and we couldn't see the picture. We didn't even see the picture of Arago. We just knew we were giant spiders. So we went to an audition, and it just happened, pure luck, that my voice, which I did like that, was the one which they thought, yep, that sounds like a spider. So I was happy because I couldn't play the part myself because I didn't have enough legs. But I was happy to do it because I had to go back 6 times while they changed the dialogue, so I got 6 times the money.
Čo bolo práve zaujímavé na tom, že práve producenti, keď robili casting na charakter tohto pavúka, tak netušili, ako by mal ten správny pavúk vôbec nieť, alebo ako by sa mal vyjadrovať. A na tom castingu bolo 10 ďalších, povedal, že väčších a známejších hercov než on. Ale proste došiel tam a hovoril práve ten hlas. A mimochodom, bojí sa pavúkov, takže nie je to zase úplne niečo, že v tom bol doma, ale teda urobil ten hlas. A takisto oni dopredu nikto z nich netušil, ako ten film bude vyzerať. Oni len vedeli, že je to nejaký obrovský pavúk. Takže to bolo na tom také zvláštne, iné, ale v konečnom dôsledku teda si ho vybrali. Tvrdí, že vraj to bolo čisté šťastie, ale tvrdí, že to bolo čisté šťastie, ale teda vybrali ho a dokonca, čo bolo na tomto filme veľmi také príjemné, že tie dialógy počas toho nakrúcania menili 6-krát, takže mu zaplatili 6-krát.
Right, mind you, I still don't know what a spider sounds like. I forgot what I was going to say now, it's gone. So it was something about Aragog, I can't remember what it is now. Oh, damn, it was rather good too. It's all gone out of my head, sorry.
No, a chcel niečo povedať ešte o Aragogovi, ale autom ako znie, ale teda zabudol, čo chcel povedať, takže sa ospravedlňujem.
Oh yes, I know what it was. I don't know whether you saw the film in English here or in your language. Was it dubbed?
Both.
If you heard it in your language, you didn't hear me. I just hope that Czech actor was good enough to play Aragog. He needed to be very good.
No a pýtal sa, či ste teda to počuli v angličtine, teda kde on hral, alebo teda v češtine, alebo v slovenčine teda. No, lebo tam by ste nepočuli jeho, logicky, ale dúfa, že ten, čo robil náš lokálny dubbing, ho hral dobre, aby dobre znel. Someone said that the Czech actor was better.
Was very good? You sound like a spider?
Či bol dobrý, či znel ako pavúk skutočne. Čo si povedal? He sounded a little bit like a spider. Because I cannot hear him, he has no microphone, so I'm deaf as well.
Go on, do the voice.
No máš napodobný ten zvuk.
Very good.
Hello, I want to ask you a simple question. Very simple. You played in the blockbuster movies, but then in a blockbuster TV series like Game of Thrones. Which experience do you prefer and why? Between TV series and movie?
Well, Game of Thrones was a TV series, but we filmed it like a movie. There was no difference at all in the treatment of the designs or the dialogue or the actors or the cameraman. They were all very, very, very fine. And so no adjustment has to be made. I've made many TV series. Some have been good and some have been bad. And I prefer to do those than a major movie. Because you could learn as you go along what the character is. With a movie, once you've done it, that's it. You can't then correct it later on. And so that's why I prefer to do series rather than big movies. But then on the other hand, I'd give my soul to do that, and I did. And that's a different sort of experience altogether. And Harrison Ford. Steven Spielberg, God rest his soul, oh, wonderful man. Just made another wonderful. Has anybody seen the film here of Tar? With Kate Blanchett? It has not been shown here. About a woman conductor? No.
I haven't seen it, so... Videl niekto ten film of Tar? Ja som to nevidel, takže fakt, že neviem. Kate Blanchett tam hrala sprievodcu.
My last film, anyway. And, it's absolutely fantastic film. Absolutely fantastic. But a bit, you have to work hard to watch it, which is good in the cinema, I think.
Okay, I will start from the beginning. Návštevník sa pýtal o tom, že hral v blockbusteroch, známych filmoch, ale takisto aj v seriáloch. Jedným z nich bol, pýtal sa konkrétne na Game of Thrones, že či bol rozdiel, alebo teda aký byl rozdiel v natáčaní filmov a Game of Thrones, s tým, že pán Glover povedal to, že nevidel rozdiel, alebo teda ten spôsob, akým tá produkcia všetko bolo pripravené, čo týka masiek, scén, kvality hercov, že to bolo veľmi podobné, pretože Game of Thrones bol točený v podstate ako film, alebo tým istým vysokým spôsobom a štandardom, takže tam práve moc veľký rozdiel nevidel. Ale vo svojom živote hral teda v rôznych iných televíznych seriáloch, rozdiel teda bol. A napríklad, keď si má vybrať, tak on oveľa radšej hrá v seriáloch, ktoré sú také tie, na tej televízie tie bežnejšie, pretože seriály trvajú dlhšie. A tým, že je tam viac dielov a dlhšie sa to natáča, tak má možnosť spoznávať ten charakter, tú postavu, ktorú hraje a tá sa vyvíja v čase. Že nie je to len taký charakter, ktorý proste hráte len vo filme nejakú krátku dobu a nebudete sa s ním nikam ďalej dostať, nikam sa moc nevyvíja. Takže preto má radšej seriály. Ale mal možnosť hrať so Seanom Connerym, Jamesovi Bondovi a proste povedal, že na to by dal dušu, teda aj dal. Takže ďakujem veľmi pekne, takisto, že bol spolupracovať so Spielbergom. A ešte spomínal, teda to bola tá posledná časť, čo sme sa tu radovali, že hral vo svojom poslednom filme Tar s Kate Blanchett a že je to úžasný film, mal by ste sa určite pozrieť.
She's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And if anybody sees that the film Tar is on, T-A-R, with an accent, I beg you to go to see it. You have to, as I say, you have to pay attention. But my God, is it worth it? It's a fantastic film. And I've got a little part in it.
A Kate Blanchett je úžasná, že ten film vyšiel to Tar, proste je možno ťažšie na pozeranie, ale určite stojí za pozretie. Ja sa bojím toho ináč osobne, že u nás to bolo preložené zase ako niečo úplne iné, ako mnohé filmy nemajú nič spoločné s pôvodným názvom. I just told them I'm afraid that the name of the movie maybe was translated differently, different title maybe.
But nobody's heard of it. This woman conductor, who's the leading conductor of the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. And it talks of her downfall. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, leave it. It's nothing to do with me. Yes, it is. A little bit.
No, ale teda, tam hral ináč v tom filme veľmi malú rolu, ešte to povedal. A teraz ďalšiu otázku.
Hello, I'm here. Here, over there. Okay, sorry. So, first of all, I want to say that I'm very sorry to disappoint you. I was not in Prague. You know, I simply was very impatient to ask a question to you.
Thank you.
Second thing, we know that you have played the villain in Indiana Jones, and I wanted to ask you, what was your best experience and the worst experience on set there?
In that film.
Yes.
Well, there was no disaster in it. The whole film was really good to make because everyone was so expert. From the director onwards and the other actors, as I've said already. It was a very good shoot. What was very, very, very uncomfortable for 2 days was my death scene, which took 16 seconds on the screen, I think it was, and took 2 days to film. And can I describe what happened about my death? Yeah?
May I translate first?
Yes, exactly. That's why I shot.
Takže Indiana Jonesovi bol to veľmi profesionálne rozprávaný film, všetko bolo tam veľmi príjemné práve rozprávať o tých zlých a dobrých časoch, ako celé to bolo fajn, ale bola tam teda jedna nepríjemná časť, ktorá trvala 2 dní, ako iste viete, tak, a to bola v podstate jeho scéna, kde ho zabijú, kde vo filme to trvá 16 sekúnd a natáčali to 2 dní. A teraz by rád povedal niečo teda o tej scéne.
Okay, this story can develop, so sorry about that, but it's going on. Before we started, I went to the studio and they made a plaster mask of my face, a death mask, so that they could then take it and work it and make it older and older and older.
No, a keďže toto, tam vlastne počas tej smrteľnej scény, on sa tam v podstate vyvíja v tom čase, lebo on tam tak starne, tak oni najprv robili odliatok jeho tváre a urobili plastickú masku, do ktorej proste prirábali ďalšie detaily, aby vyzeral starší a starší a starší.
And when I came to do it, I started off with my face, and they made makeup older and older until it got too old for makeup, and they reverted to the model when I got older and older and older. And you may remember the hair growing longer. They shot that from behind, of course, but they shot with it long, and someone was here, and he pulled it like that, and it went up, and they shot it in reverse. So it went down my back.
No a postupne teda začali s jeho tvárou, kde teda pridávali make-up, bol starší a starší a potom vlastne došlo do tej časti teda, kde už sa tá tvár začala, neho vymenili teda za nejaký ten model a začal sa meniť a je tam potom tá záverečná časť, kde teda, ktorá je zachytená zozadu, kde mu rastú a rastú proste vlasy dlhšie a dlhšie. A toto natáčili práve v obráteným spôsobom, že vpred bol niekto, kto veľmi spredu potiahol tie vlasy a to nebolo veľmi teda príjemné.
It was very, very, very uncomfortable to say that.
Bolo to veľmi, 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 veľmi nepríjemné.
But I'll do anything for the money.
Ale to je urobí všetko pre peniaze.
There's a follow to this. At the end of the film, the props department came to me with this mask, which was now 2,080 years old, and said, "Do you want it?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'll take it. Thank you." So I took it home. It was the last day of shooting on the whole film, and I said, "Look what I've got." And my wife went, "Oh, Christ, Julian, that's horrible, horrible. Get it out, put it in the garage."
No, a na počas posledného dňa natáčania tam mali v podstate tú masku už teda vyvesenú a pýtali sa, či si ju nechce zobrať domov, tak teda nenapadlo nič lepšie, ako teda si ju zobrať, no nesol ju domov a ukázali manželka, povedala, že Ježiši Kriste, Julian, to je otrasné, odlož ju do garáže.
So I put it in the garage. A few months later, we were clearing out the garage, like you do, and I saw this in the floor. Oh, look, darling, I said, look, there's this mask. And she said, Julian, that's disgusting. Bin it, put it in the bin, the dustbin. Put it in the dustbin. So I put it in the dustbin.
2 mesiace na to potom nejak upratovali tú garáž, čo teda asi všetci poznáme, a tam došli z manželka a tam bola tá maska. A on kaže, aha, drahá, tam je tá maska. A on, to je otrasné, okamžite to vyhod do koša, okamžite. Tak to dala do koša.
So, it was bin, and a few months later I was doing a convention in Atlanta, in America, and I was talking to one of the dealers, the people who deal with all these things from films like this, and I was telling him about this particular incident. He said, "You binned it?" I said, "Yes." My wife wouldn't. You binned it. You threw it away. I said, "Yes." He said, "Julian, if you had that with you now, I would give you $35,000 for it."
No, a neskôr išiel, pár mesiacov neskôr išiel na kon v Atlante, kde sa práve rozprával s nejakým obchodníkom, týmito špeciálnymi všelijakými maskami, a rozprával práve túto story, jak to proste vyhodil, a on sa spýtal, vyplašil oči a spýtal sa ho, že skutočne rozumieš, čo si povedal? Si to vyhodili akože do koša, preč? Môže áno, jasne, však manželka to nemala rada, preboha. Keby ste mi to dneska donesli, tak to stojí, tak vám dám $35,000.
Thrown anything away since.
A odtedy som žiadnu takúto rekvizitu nevyhodil. I think we have time for last question. Because it would be impolite to end it like this. Takže máme otázku.
I have plenty of time, it's a matter of you.
Well, you know, there is my colleague doing the cosplay competition, and you know,
Oh, yeah.
how is the women? I just have to work with her,
Okay.
and she's really lovely, but when she's angry, you don't want to meet her.
No, I don't want to meet her. She looks rather nice from here. Oh yes, you can come again.
Posledná otázka.
What did you enjoy the most about playing Meister Pycelle in Game of Thrones, except the story, of course?
So, you have a word for wily. You know what a wily means? He's really naughty. He kept his eye on everything. So I had to watch everything that was happening. Whether you saw me doing that, I don't know. I did. So I knew which way to move when the next thing happened. And the fact that I wasn't killed until the very end is a mark of that. He was he was well over 100 when he was killed. He kept himself alive for that whole period. And that was something which was a great pleasure to play. Great pleasure to play. So that's the answer to that. There's another story with that, but I can't go on and on and on. This beautiful woman here wants to take my stage away from me.
No, tak čo bolo na tomto najzvyšujúce práve to, že proste bol taký vynaliezavý a vedel sa prepletať práve tými genocídami a umeral v podstate úplne až skoro na konci, takže asi bol dobrý práve v tom prežívaní, ale ja doplním ešte tú otázku. But, okay, I would like to ask you for an add-on for this question, because you were telling me that they left out some part of Game of Thrones. You told me that they left some part out of the Game of Thrones of you playing Meister Pycelle that revealed his, yeah. Could you tell us, please, about this?
Okay. I was so angry. You may remember that Pycelle had a secret life, which was a private life, when he didn't have to be an old man, he could do exercises, he could sleep successfully with beautiful women, and etc., etc. But in public, he was a bent old man. Tell them that.
No, čo bolo zaujímavé na Pajsovi bolo to, že on bol človek dvojich životov, dvoch tvári. Na verejnosti bol starý, vedký starček, ale vo svojom súkromnom živote dokázal spať s mnohými ženami a bol úplne teda celkom fit na svoj vek.
So, they filmed the scene when we were in Dubrovnik. Wonderful scene for me. When Tywin was fishing, and I come down with some message, and he turns around and he says, I can see that you're hiding something. You're not what you say you are you? And I realised then that I have been completely recognised. So I stand up to my full height and say, no, you're right. I have been pretending because I intend to live my full years. I don't want to get killed off like everybody else. I want to be me. And Tywin says, that's fair enough. Yes, good. Very good scene for me because it reminded the audience of what I was. They cut the scene.
A toto bola scéna, ktorú vystrihli vlastne z Game of Thrones, ktorú si nemohli vidieť. Teda považujem to za veľkú chybu, pretože ukazuje práve tú skutočnú tvár toho Bajsela. Je tam scéna, kde Tywin chytá ryby a dojde za ním starček a on sa pozrie na Tywina, že ja viem, čo si zač a niečo skrývaš. A vtedy sa narovná do svojej plnej výšky, už zrazu sa netvári ako starý vedký starec a povie, že má pravdu, ale že chce byť sám sebou a proste nechce umrieť za toto, dosť pravil pre toto kráľovstvo, aby len tak umrel ako všetci ostatní a nechce dať zabiť, takže chce žiť čo najdlhšie. No a škoda, že práve túto scénu v podstate vystrihli, pretože ukázala práve aj túto časť Game of Thrones, o ktorej teda bohužiaľ vďaka tomu nebolo možné teda moc teda vedieť.
Okay, I must finish this now. I was absolutely furious because it was so good for my character. And I said, why? They said, oh, for time. I said, but lots of other things you can cut. Anyway, I said, I'm not going to do the last series. And they said, you must do the last series. You're in it. I said, I mustn't. I'm not contracted to you to do the last series. I'm not doing the last series.
No, bol veľmi naštvaný, že toto odtiaľ vystrihli. Hovoril, že mohli vystrihnúť hoci čo iné. A oni mali stále tie výhovorky, že a kvôli času, a je to príliš dlhé proste. A bol tak naštvaný, povedal, že nebude hrať v poslednej sérii. A oni hovorili, že ako, musíš, ja si v nej. Že, nie, nemám to v zmluve.
And so I said to them, well, I'm not doing it. And they said, you have a very important scene, your death scene. Oh, show it to me. Oh no, we can't show it to... I said, show it to me. Or I won't do it. Okay.
No a oni odpovedali, že musíš natočiť, pretože je to vlastne tá smrteľná scéna, ktorú tam treba zahrať. A odpovedala, že tak mi ju teda ukážte, teda, aby teda, či to stojí vôbec za to. Nemôžeme ukázať. Ukážte, lebo to nebudem hrať. Tak mi ju ukázať.
If you remember, it was a very good scene. So I said, I will do it on two conditions. One, that I do it when I want to do it, when I'm free to do it. Not when you tell me, when I'm free. And secondly, that you pay me 3 times as much for that episode. They paid it. Which only goes to show that if you really don't want something, you'll probably get it.
Tú scénu videl, nevidel takéto veľmi pôsobivá, dobrá scéna. A on teda povedal na to jeho odpoveď, že mám 2 podmienky. Natočím to vtedy, keď ja chcem. Niekedy mi vypoviete a zaplatíte mi 3-krát toľko za tú epizódu. A zaplatím. Takže znamená, že keď niečo nechcete, tak to dostanete. A to je na dneska všetko, priatelia. Thank you very much. ďakujem.